I'll tell you. Very excited that the win-loss game's coming up in about 10 minutes or so. I have tried to figure out what this bullpen's supposed to look like. And I'll tell you, it has not been easy to try to piece together the roles that everybody should have right now. And I like using, it's just a great resource to be able to keep track of everything. Fangraphs has a really great depth chart that shows how often a guy has played recently, where they've played, where they've been in the lineup. It's just a really good way to see who's been used as of late. Also tells you usage for relievers, how many pitches they've thrown, if they picked up a save or whatnot. So it allows you to see who's going to be unavailable because they've pitched a lot lately. And the interesting thing about the depth chart on the bullpen is they put guys in roles. They have their long relievers, the middle relievers, and the closers. And I always find it interesting when if you go to a team, if Fangraphs decides that they want a couple of guys to be designated as closers, because that's their way of saying, we have no clue who's closing games for this team. We have no idea who should it be. We have no idea who to trust. We don't have a clue. So we don't have an idea. They've got 3 names listed as closers. Producer Evan, do you want to try to take a swing at who they have listed as?
Is this 3 healthy names?
Yes, this does not include A.J. Puck or Justin Martinez.
Beeks, Miller, Ginkel.
You got 2 of the 3.
Not Beeks.
They have Shelby Miller listed as a closer. They have Kevin Ginkel listed as a closer.
And then one more?
They have 1 more. No Jalen Beeks, so your names to pick from.
Oh, gosh.
Ryan Thompson, Kendall Graveman, Juan Murillo.
Is it Murillo?
Joe Mantiply.
Can't be Mantiply.
And Ryan Nelson.
I don't think it's Ryan Nelson because he hasn't even seen a 9th. Is it Murillo?
This is not Murillo.
I have no idea. Is it Nelson?
It is Ryan Nelson.
No way. Because he hasn't even seen a 9th inning.
Well, he got...
I guess technically he did.
The 2 innings that he pitched after the Burns start last Saturday, He pitched the 8th and the 9th. But that's the only time we've seen him in that spot. Fangraphs says, you know what? Good enough for us. You're one of the 3 closers.
Well, that's good enough for the Diamondbacks.
If you have 3 closers, do you have any closers? Would be my question.
No, it's like it's ready for what it's like. The Giants quarterback room.
This is an off-air conversation that we were discussing the Giants quarterback room during the last break. I don't know how we got there, but we were. Yes, it is very much like the Giants quarterback room. And this is the problem. This is the problem with the injuries that they have. This is the problem with keeping Eduardo Rodriguez in his rotation spot. I don't know. Shelby Miller was put back into the closer's role after we tried Kevin Ginkel, after we tried Ryan Nelson. We tried a bunch of options. Shelby Miller, you're back in there. Do you feel better about Shelby Miller as the closer after what you saw yesterday? Yes, he got a save. He picked up another save. He's got saves in each of his last 2 outings. But do you feel good after what you saw yesterday?
What are you talking about? It was an extremely clean night.
Just a clean inning out there from Shelby Miller.
No, I don't feel
walks,
better.
Had 2 walks, gave up a run?
He walked 2, he gave up a run, and they finished the game with the bases loaded. They were a bloop from losing that baseball game.
So that's the closer right now of this baseball team. That's the guy who's gotten the last 2 saves for this team.
Got a save.
2 of them. Before that, it was Ryan Nelson picking up a save on Saturday. What do you do with this bullpen? What do you do? Because I would argue, you asked this in buy or sell, making Ryan Nelson one of your high-leverage relievers. You said 7th or 8th inning guy, but basically what you're saying is, I trust Ryan Nelson to get 3 important outs. That's what you're saying with that buy or sell comment. I trust Ryan Nelson more than I trust Ryan Thompson, more than I trust Kendall Graveman, more than I trust Juan Murillo, more than I trust Joe Mantiply.
But I think I trust him more to get 6 outs. If you could give me a situation where he could get the 8th and the 9th, get a 2-inning save, or a 7th, 8th, and a 2-inning hold once J-Mart comes back.
Here's the issue with doing that. I love the idea. I love the idea of using a guy like this to get 6 outs, right? Helps you kind of shorten the game even further. The problem is, if you use him for 2 innings, right, and you put him in this role of, he's my 7th and 8th inning guy, he gets it to my closer. J-Mart, Puck, Graveman, Ginkel, Miller, whoever it is. You make him your setup guy, your bridge setup guy. If you use him, you then probably don't have him for 2 days. Using a guy like that who is a former starter in this relief role, asking him to throw 2 innings, he's going to throw 30 to 45 pitches. That's probably going to take him down for 2 days. Do you feel comfortable then the next day going, I have to get those 6 outs from the rest of the group? See, Ryan Nelson's not a traditional reliever.
I still think that, but yes, I understand that. But I still think that's your best option. And I'll tell you why. This offense has been very good, and this bullpen has been very bad. But, like, let's talk about on Monday, they play the Giants in that 2-1 game that they win where Merrill Kelly's great. Would have loved to seen Nelson come out and pitch the 8th and 9th. What if they just went Kelly to Nelson? Then he's down for 2 days. You could have used him tomorrow against the Rockies. You could not use him at all against the Rockies. Save him, try to use him twice in the 19th and the 21st against the Dodgers.
See, Ryan Nelson before pitching yesterday, last pitched on Saturday. He had the 17 pitches in the 2-inning save. The next time he pitched was Wednesday.
But I think he could have pitched on Monday.
You think he could have pitched on Monday instead of using Beeks and then Shelby Miller? But see,
or if you went Beeks and then Thompson in the 9th. Nelson in the 9th. Sorry.
Here is what I think happened. On Saturday, right, you had no other options. Miller had worked the day before. Ginkel had worked the day before. Thompson had worked the day before. Beeks had worked the day before. You had just taxed your pen.
And I also just think he's one of your arms you trust more. You're up 3-0. You need to win.
Well, you used so many guys because A-Rod didn't have it on Friday. You had to use Christian Mena, and then you were just piecemealing it together because then you found yourself in the rare spot. I was winning the game. I was down a bunch. I came back. Now I'm leading this game. Oh, I went from using my negative role relievers. I got to use my positive guys because I got to win this game, and then you blew it. So the next day, you didn't really have a whole lot. So Burns gives you 7 good innings. Now you can use Nelson for 2. Listen, you can do this. You can make a guy like Ryan Nelson, if you trust him enough, you can make him a multi-inning super setup guy. You can do this, but you have to commit to it. And the reason why you can't commit to this is because you have a guy every 5 days that's coming up and he has a 7 ERA. Ryan Nelson is more than likely going to be the guy that replaces Eduardo Rodriguez in the rotation. You have to make that decision. This goes back to what we were talking about in hour number 1. Because I agree with you. Ideally right now, you make Shelby Miller the closer, and you have Ryan Nelson, your setup man, one day who can give you 6 outs, and then the other day it's some combination of Ginkel, Beeks, Kendall Graveman. But right now, you can't do that because I might need Ryan Nelson to make that start on, Tuesday against the Dodgers.
Then let me ask you this. We've talked about adding a bullpen arm. What if they add a starter? Does that fill your hole?
They have Christian Mena down in Reno. They have Yilber Diaz down in Reno. I wonder if you can do this. You can commit to Ryan Nelson as your setup guy and then use Mena or Diaz as your replacement. But I think all of us can agree Ryan Nelson is their best. If we were doing this 1 through 8 in the Diamondbacks rotation, Ryan Nelson's number 6, no?
Yeah.
So you got to decide right now. You have to make a really tough decision as an organization. Do I keep trying to trot along and trying to piecemeal this together every single night? Because I'm holding on to Ryan Nelson's potential starter ability at some point. Or do I commit to this direction because I got to win baseball games? I have to have a bullpen that my manager trusts. He has to have options. I don't know when AJ Puck's going to be back. I don't know if Justin Martinez, when he's eligible to come off of the injured list, is going to be able to come back. He was put on the injured list on the 1st. So tomorrow, that would be 15 days. He's eligible to come off the injured list. Do we think that's going to be the case, or we think it's going to take a little bit? There's just so many balls up in the air right now. They have to commit to a direction. And it's hard to do when you have a guy in your rotation right now with a 7 ERA. When you have Justin Martinez and AJ Puck who are going to come back potentially at some point. Because you don't want to put Ryan Nelson in as your setup man or your closer, and then Martinez comes back, Puck comes back, Graveman looks really good. You put Shelby back into a role that he's more comfortable in the 6th or the 7th inning, and now your bullpen starts to look like what it's supposed to, but you made Nelson a reliever, and now it's going to take longer to get him stretched out. Meanwhile, you got to keep trotting out a guy with a 7 ERA. The can of worms that everyone's afraid to open by removing Eduardo Rodriguez from the rotation. Look at the can of worms that they currently have. Look at the ball of yarn they're trying to untangle right now in their bullpen.
No, it's a mess. It's a complete and utter mess. And it starts with the starting pitching. And I think that, recently it's been pretty good. But in reality, they haven't gotten a lot of innings from some of these guys at the top.
Haven't gotten a lot of innings, haven't gotten a lot of length. Think about this real quick. So everybody but Corbin Burnes has made 9 starts for the Diamondbacks. 51 innings from Gallen, 51 innings from Kelly, 50 2/3 innings from Brendan Pfaadt over those 9 starts. Eduardo Rodriguez, 44 2/3. He's made the same amount of starts, and he is 6 1/3 innings off the leaders. It's basically a whole start. That's what you've gotten from Eduardo Rodriguez this season. It's a problem. And it's a problem that's leaking into your bullpen because right now Ryan Nelson is one of your more trusted relievers. And I know yesterday he had a rough day, but he gave you bulk. He gave you 3 innings on a day where you needed it. You trusted him the other night to get you 6 outs when Corbin Burnes was on the mound. You felt like he was the most trusted guy you had that day. I would give this a shot. And I would give this a shot knowing that I may be forcing my hand when it comes to Eduardo Rodriguez. But you know what? Christian Mena deserves at least one opportunity. He saved your bacon last Friday. Give him a shot. Give him a turn through. I can get 4 better innings out of Christian Mena than I could get out of Eduardo Rodriguez right now. And I can now have a more trusted member of my bullpen in Ryan Nelson available more days than he was trying to keep him stretched out as a starter. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and I get it. They're in a tough spot. But you got to pick a direction. You got to pick a direction.